Hello, today we are going to look at Tectus from the High Mall raid, and we're going to look at his mechanics and how to defeat this guy. So for this fight, you want to make sure you have two tanks and a strong mix of melee and range with your combination of healers to support everybody. For positioning, the tanks want to try to keep him in the middle of the ring with the melee on the backside and the range standing outside, staying stacked together though. The range are going to need to be always grouped together and moving cohesively in the same direction. So Tectus will have two buffs that will alternate through his fight. He starts with the Living Mountain, which will allow him to gain energy, which he uses to cast his abilities, as well as making him invulnerable to death, to shattering. Throughout the fight, he will then go into a tectonic upheaval, which he will just cause seismic activity throughout the raid, massive damage to everybody. At this time is your best chance to defeat Tectus and make him shatter. Tectus has a passive ability, Accretion, which will stack and gives a 5% increased damage every stack. So in order to avoid this, he must always be taking damage, which is pretty easily done as long as you're focusing on once the ads are dead, then you hit Tectus. Tectus will use an ability Fracture. There will be a small circle on the ground, and from this point a spike of earth will shoot out. Anybody in this circle will take some heavy damage and be knocked back. So when you see the circle, just avoid it, move out of the way. The deadly ability of Tectus is called Earthen Pillar. There will be a large ring on the ground, and just before it spikes up, you can see this ring. And then all of a sudden, if you are in that ring, when it shoots out of the ground, it's an instant death. So you must make sure you're not inside that ring at any time. The spike will also stay persistent to the fight for a long time, so it will affect where your group stands and line of sight. So as a group, you want to be moving to a certain direction when you see that pillar, because it will typically be under all of the range players. Tectus will have an ability of Crystalline Barrage. He'll target one of our range players and shoot at them with some crystals that leaves clouds on the ground that will cause damage. The player that is targeted must run out of the group and in the opposite direction, and keeping it away from where people will be walking to avoid extra damage. Also during the fight, a couple ads will spawn. They need to be burned down as quickly as possible. So the easy ad to watch is a Berserker. He's a bigger guy. You want to just burn him down, but every so often he will reset his threat and he will charge towards random members. So you must watch his charge, and then you want to make sure you stand out of the way when he charges, or else it's a large amount of damage to take. There's an ad called the Earth Warper. He's a smaller ad, also needs to be burned down, but he will have a gift of Earth ability that needs to be soaked up. It'll be a void zone that moves towards Tectus, and you want to avoid it reaching Tectus because then he'll get 10 stacks of Accretion. Remember, the Accretion will give Tectus a major buff in damage, so that's 50% damage he will cause. So the off tank can soak up the Gift of Earth ability, but it will cause a large amount of physical damage to him, as well as becoming a petrified. So this petrification is a 30-second debuff that they will hold that slows their speed down. At this time, they want to avoid getting hit by Tectus, so this is where the tanks will want to tank swap. Every time if this player is under petrification, if Tectus hits them, he will gain more Accretion. So once you're fighting Tectus and he's got his tectonic upheaval going, you're able to shatter him. He'll break into two shards. So these are smaller versions, and they will cast the same abilities. So you have to watch out for the Accretion stacks, as well as the Shard Mountain buff and tectonic upheavals, and the Fracture, as well as Earthen Pillar and Crystalline Barrage. All these abilities will be on a smaller portion, so they don't hit as hard, but there will be more of them since there are now two versions. So during phase 2, you want to pick one of these shards and burn them down first. So this off tank will take 1 DPS with him and pull the second shard to themselves and just keep him attracted over there. You want to have the extra DPS with him just to minimize the accretion stacks. So having the tank and 1 DPS on the shard will help keep the accretion lower so the tank's not taking damage. While everybody else is focused on the first shard, you're going to burn him down and blow him up as quickly as possible as you can. Again, during this phase when you have 2, you must still watch your feet for all of the abilities. If you get targeted by the crystalline barrage, make sure you're running away from the group, preferably in the opposite direction so that the rest of the raid is not walking through those purple clouds and taking damage. You must still watch for the pillars, as they will also cause a lot of damage. Now, once you are able to take the first shard and bring him down to 0 health, he will shatter again into 4 motes. So now you have 4 motes and 1 shard on the battlefield. Now that we have 4 motes with the 1 shard, the fun really starts. This is probably going to be your best time to want to use Hero, as you want to burn these 4 motes down as quickly as possible. As there are 4 of them, each of them will have the same abilities that Tectus started with, so you must watch out for all over the field for the different pillars rising and the many crystalline barrages. So your raid's going to get spread out some here, so try to still stay somewhat organized. The damage is not tremendous, but again, because there are a lot of them, it will still hurt. After you get the first 4 motes down, you can return to the shard that's still alive and finish him off. Same mechanics. Burn him down, he'll split into 4 more motes, and then burst them down as quickly as possible. Hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching, and good luck on your kill with Tectus.